Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Art Money Success Podcast. I am your host, Maria Brophy, and today we're going to talk about the thing that a lot of artists want to ask, and that is how do you get your art out into the world when you are just starting out? Now, I'm going to tell you a story about Nancy, and you are going to be so shocked when I tell you how old Nancy is and how she got started in the art world, selling her work. And I'm going to tie it in with the advice that I gave Nancy when I first started working with her about a year and a half ago, and how far she's come in just a short period of time with her art. So here's this question actually came to me from someone that calls himself the urban artist. And the urban artist sent me this question through my inner circle email list, which, by the way, if you're not on my inner circle list, you need to get on it. That way you have complete access to me. You can email me, you can ask me questions, you can give me topics for this podcast. So join it by clicking the link in the show notes and the description below and join me. You will get emails from me that will literally change your art business life for the better because I give so much free material away. Okay, so back to how do you get your art out there? And hey, this isn't just for brand new artists. This is for anyone who is wanting to up level their art sales. They're wanting to expand their fan base and get their art exposed to a lot of new eyeballs. So I'm just going to tell you about Nancy. Okay. And about a year and a half ago, Nancy reaches out to me and she says, I just started painting not too long ago, and I want to get my art out there. And so I helped Nancy make a plan to do her first ever art show. Now, this is what's going to blow your mind away. Nancy didn't start painting until she was 70 years old. Now, for those of you who say, I'm too old to get started, I don't care how old you are, you're never too old to get started. And I'm willing to bet most of you are under 70. And probably many of you are under 40, and a lot of you listening are under 30. And just so you know, age is never a reason to not get your art out there. So Nancy, being a brand new artist in her early 70s, was very willing to do her first art show. And that was my advice to her. You have to get out of your house. You have to get out of your studio. You have to get your art in front of people. And the greatest thing about doing an art show, which, by the way, does not need to be in a gallery. Okay. I'm going to tell you in a little bit non-gallery venues to show your art that are super easy to make happen. Super easy. So easy, you're going to say, why didn't I think of that? Okay. But before we get to that, here's why doing an art show is crucial to your growth as an artist. Multiple reasons. I'm just going to lay them out. Number one, it forces you to create a body of work that is cohesive and then has a meaning to it of some sort, where it is like a series of work. For my husband, Drew, one of my favorite body of works that he's ever done is called Exploring Sacred Geometry Series. And with that series, we took it and showed it and exhibited it at multiple types of venues and locations. Okay, so that's number one. It forces you to create a cohesive body of art. And when you do that, you also then have a meaning, a description of what your body of work is. And when you have that, that is what makes other people care about your work. And it could be as simple as documenting the bridges of Madison County. You remember that movie from a long time ago? There was a photographer that went all over this place called Madison County where it was known for covered bridges, little bridges that had coverings over them. And this photographer would go out and photograph all these covered bridges. That is a cohesive body of work. It has a meaning to it. The meaning is, well, these covered bridges have some historical significance to them, and it's just kind of cool and it's unique. But you can do that with any subject matter. The next thing that is great about doing an art show is you get instant feedback and you get questions from your viewers, whether it's your friends, family, or strangers that are coming to look at your art. And that is really important as an artist to get feedback, to have other people tell you what they see when they look at your work and what they love about it. What they love about it. It's very helpful to get that feedback. It also enables you to learn how to talk about your work. Now, I know some of you might feel a little uncomfortable with that, but you know what? You're going to have to get over it. If you want to make it in the world of art, you literally just have to get over it. And you've got to figure out how to get yourself comfortable with talking about your work. And really, there's only one way to get comfortable with it, and that is to do it over and over and over again. Another great thing about exhibiting your art is you're probably going to sell some of it. So remember, I was telling you about Nancy Mills. So I helped her, I coached her through the planning of her first ever art exhibit. And she was nervous about it. And I remember how nervous she was. But you know what? She did it. She went into it 100%. And now here we are. I want to say it's a little more than a year and a half later, almost 2 years later, and she has done numerous art shows with her art. She's painted 300 watercolor paintings in the last couple of years, and the last show she had, she was so excited to tell me she sold over $2,000 in her art prints and her small paintings. And for Nancy, that was really big because she really started at these lower price points, which most artists do, and I actually recommend that. That's it's a whole nother podcast. But it's so exciting when you sell your work, when you first start getting started with your artwork. So I'm going to go into where you can show your work in a very non intimidating way where you can feel very comfortable without galleries. Okay. But before I get into that, I want to invite you to hit subscribe, to either leave me a comment or a review, depending on which platform you're listening to this on, because I need that. I need to know. I need feedback. This is my art exhibit right here. I need feedback. It's really important for me to know what you're resonating with, if you're resonating with whatever I'm saying. So the best way to do that is to either leave me a comment, or if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, then leave me a review, please. I would be so happy if you did. Okay, so where can you show your art? So forget art galleries. If you're just getting started, don't even put yourself through that, okay? Because you don't need that kind of negativity. You can have a friend who has a nice big house do an art show for you if this friend has a lot of wall space and they love to entertain. And we all have a friend or two like that, or a friend of a friend, somebody in your community who would love to do that for you. Another option is a local business that has a venue, a building, a space where there's a lot of room to hang art on the wall or to put it on easels. Or another thing you could do is team up with a charity who's having an event and offer to do a little art exhibit at their event, which is a win 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 for everyone. And you could tell them anything I sell, I'll donate 10% to the charity. And everybody wins with that. You could do a coffee shop. You could even do it at a local festival or street fair if you live in a town where they do things like that. But I want you to get creative and think of a venue and someone who would be happy to host your first art show. Don't be shy. Don't be shy about it. Step out of that comfort zone and do it, because once you do it once, like my good friend Nancy did, then you know what you're doing. And then you can do it again and again and again. And each time you do it, you're more comfortable with it. You start selling your art and you start building a fan base. Did you get anything out of this? If this was helpful for you, please leave me a comment or a review. And I want to invite you to join my inner circle where you have access to me. You can send me questions by email that I can cover in a future podcast. Just click the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful evening. I will see you all next time.